What up, gang? Welcome to the channel. Back with another video. Listen, new CDL drivers, I need you guys to do me a favor. Well, actually, you'll be doing yourself a favor too. Before you start your trucking career, make sure you do your research thoroughly. Please do your own due diligence, man. One of the mistakes that I see truck drivers making, and this is just an observation, when I watch a lot of these videos in the trucking space, and I just listen to people talk, it only takes a couple minutes for me to know, what type of job they're doing in trucking. Look, when you're just getting started in the industry, your first job, and I've said this before, your first job may suck. And I get that. My first job sucked. And, luckily for me, I was able to find something else in a relatively short period of time that I liked a little bit better. It was just a better all-around situation in terms of pay, in terms of work-life balance, everything, right? So if you do end up, making a bad choice, whether it's the job you choose or the company you work for, it doesn't mean you can't bounce back from it, because you can. I did it, and I'm sure a lot of people besides myself did the same thing. I just want you guys to understand that a lot of people have bad experiences in trucking because of the decisions that they make when it comes to choosing a job and or a company. Also, you guys got to use discernment when you're listening to content creators, and that goes for both content creators that speak about their job in a positive light, and also those who speak negatively about the job or the company that they work for. Listen to both, and then draw your own conclusions. Every job, I don't care where you go, where you work, what profession you have, what career you plan on pursuing, there's obviously going to be pros and cons. It just is what it is. But hopefully you can choose a job that has more pros than cons. If the pros outweigh the cons, you may be able to, tolerate some of the negatives about a job. And that's the way I look at it. I already know, regardless of the job that I have, there's going to be something that I'm probably going to have an issue with. So I'm not naive to think that there's this perfect job out there. That doesn't exist. But as long as most of my boxes are checked, then I'm cool with that. I know I'm not going to get everything that I want. But everybody don't set realistic expectations for themselves when they get into trucking. That's part of the problem. Some people set really high expectations, and when a job doesn't meet their expectations, they have a problem. Not understanding that the expectation that they set for themselves pertaining to the job wasn't realistic to begin with. So y'all got to be honest with yourselves when you get into trucking. If you come into this industry and your expectation is to make $100,000 your first year, and you start working a job and you don't hit that mark, you can't be mad at nobody but yourself in that type of scenario. Because in most cases, you're probably not going to hit 100K your first year. So you got to be real with yourself, man. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I don't think it's a good idea to set that bar that high coming into the industry. So my thing is, I just want you guys to be well informed, man, before making any decision. There are still a lot of good jobs out there, despite being in a, you know, quote unquote bad economy, in a down market. There's still some good opportunities out there, and I'll continue to say that because I know it exists. So you just got to figure out what you want to do in this space. That's the bottom line. You can still be successful. You can make some really good money in trucking. I don't care what anybody tell you. It's still money to be made out there, man. Everybody in trucking isn't struggling. So just understand that. Is trucking perfect? Absolutely not. Are there a lot of issues in the trucking industry? Of course. And it's not for everybody. Trucking, in my opinion, is what you make it. If you've been following my channel for a while, you guys know I'm in food service. Even if you haven't done food service before, I'm pretty sure there are a ton of videos out there where you can see what the consensus is amongst this particular profession, right? Probably about 95% of the comments related to food service is gonna be negative. So, you know, that's just what it is. The other 5% that's positive is probably going to be from people who are in food service, that's probably been doing it for a while, and you know, they're probably used to the work at this point, and they pretty much understand the ebbs and flows of food service, and they already know that it's just certain things that are out of your control when it comes to food service. They already know kind of what to expect. You know you're gonna have issues with the load, right? You know you're probably gonna deal for cases at some point. You know you may have a pallet or two out of sequence. Something along those lines, right? You know you're gonna be working in terrible weather conditions at a certain point. You gotta work in the rain, the snow, all that type of stuff. So it's just part of the job. You know there are gonna be breakdowns. Whether it's the pallet jack, right? If you got an electric pallet jack, if you got a lift gate, you know, it's just, as a food service driver, you pretty much know that a lot of stuff comes with this job. Breakdowns with the truck. It just comes with the territory. So, much like any other job out there, man, if you've been doing it long enough, you pretty much know what come with it. So, you know, you just got to figure out what you want to do in this trucking space. If you want to go over the road, you know, there are some cons with that, right? If you got a family, being away from the family could be an issue. Basically living out of the truck could be an issue for some people. Not having, you know, much of a social life, not being able to, you know, hang around friends and all of that type of stuff that comes with being over the road. You know, having to take showers at truck stops, all of that type of stuff, man. It's just part of the lifestyle. Some people can deal with it, some people can't. But again, this goes back to what I was saying, doing your due diligence, understanding what you're getting yourself into. You know, when it comes to local work in the trucking space, a lot of local work is touch freight. Not all of it, right? There are some things you could do in trucking, like fuel hauling, for example, where you're not touching any freight, right? You're not unloading the trailer or anything like that. The most physical work you're probably doing is just moving some hoses around. And I'm not, you know, saying the hoses are lightweight, but it's nothing compared to food service or anything like that. So LTL could be a good opportunity for you. You know, if you want to do something like line haul, for example, you know, just pulling trailers, dropping hook work, even P&D, pick up and delivery. That's local. It's still work involved, but you're home every night. The downside to something like LTL is, particularly if you don't have a lot of seniority, you're probably not going to have the best runs, right? You may not get a lot of miles. If freight slows down, you know, the seniority drivers are a priority. So, you know, there could be some instances where you have to cut back on hours because it's just not enough work to go around. Worst case scenario, it could be a situation where you get laid off. That's pretty common in LTL, particularly for some of the newer drivers that have less seniority. So again, these are things that you need to know before going in. I would recommend getting all your endorsements early on, particularly while you're in trucking school, getting your CDL. I would go ahead and just get that out the way up front so you don't have to worry about it. And just in case some laws change, you know, and some new legislation get passed to where you have to jump through a few more hoops to get certain endorsements, you can avoid all that by just getting it right now. You know, if you wait a year or two, there could be some changes, and then you'll look back and say, man, I should have got those endorsements, you know, a year or two ago before they put this new law in place. So that's just my recommendation. I would go ahead and take care of that early on. And you know, with having your endorsements, it just gives you more opportunities, so you're able to do more things in the trucking space, and you're not just limited to doing just a couple things, right? I just want you new drivers to understand that in this trucking industry, there's gonna be good and bad. You're gonna have people that are happy with their jobs. You're gonna have people that don't like their jobs. You're gonna have people that feel like trucking is terrible and they wouldn't recommend it. And then you're gonna have people that feel like trucking is still a good opportunity and you could still make money in it. So, you know, you're gonna hear both sides, man. At the end of the day, you just gotta figure out what you wanna do and what job in trucking is best suited for you. Everybody's different. There's going to be a lot of naysayers in trucking. It just is what it is, man. Don't let somebody else's experience influence your decision when it comes to doing something that you really want to do in trucking. Because again, you may do something that somebody else said they hated. You may actually like it. Listen, man, that's all I got for you guys. Do me a favor, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you like this video, like the video. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.